Cautious calm has returned to Syria's northern city of Aleppo after a flare-up of violence between Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. The fighting comes at a sensitive moment as a key deadline approaches for a deal aimed at bringing the SDF under state authority, raising fresh questions about security and power sharing in Syria. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has unveiled plans for a new generation of Navy warships, announcing what he calls Trump-class battleships as the centerpiece of a proposed Golden Fleet. Trump says that the vessels would be the largest and most powerful ever built, signaling a renewed push to reshape the U.S. Navy, one that places him personally at the center of its design, vision, and naming. All this and more coming up in this edition of In Focus. Stay with us. Cautious calm returned to Aleppo after Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces agreed to halt fighting following clashes in the Ashrafiyya and Sheikh Maqsoud neighborhoods. Both sides blamed each other for the violence, which Syrian officials say killed 4 civilians and wounded more than 20 others, including civil defense volunteers. The clashes broke out just ahead of a deadline to implement a March 10th deal to integrate the SDF into state forces, in hours after Turkey's foreign minister said that the group appeared unwilling to honor that commitment. Delving more into this, joins us from Cairo is Mr. Abdurrahman Raboua, journalist and writer. Welcome to Qnews, Mr. Raboua. Now, while the immediate fighting has stopped, the March 10th agreement remains stalled. So in your own point of view, is this latest flare-up a sign that the deal is failing, or is it just pre-deadline pressure?
The 10th of March agreement is still happening, and today Syria is facing a lot of issues. There are some forces that are trying to stall the peace path and the healing path, and to stall this transitional phase and to bring Syria back to the war era. As you know, the war has been going on for 14 years, and there are some sides that want to go back to this war because they actually flourished when this war was happening. And so yes, there are lots of factions that want this, and so this is why we see some conflicts and mutual strikes between the two sides, between the and the government. Some of them don't want this agreement to actually succeed, and then also there are some regional forces that want the war in Syria to continue and to have Syria completely destructed. And so yes, they will benefit from this actually, but the Syrian people and Syria's actual and real supporters in France, of course on top of them are the Arab countries. They have been working really hard to reach peace in Syria. And so what happened the day before yesterday was actually a test for both sides actually, and I think that both sides here actually succeeded in it and passed this test, because by the morning next day the strikes have stopped and people have gone back to their homes in Aleppo, and things went back to normal, even though they are still anticipating how things will be going and how the negotiations will turn out, what will come out of them, and so on.
The timing of these clashes coincided with Haqqan Fidan's visit to Damascus. Is this a coincidence, or was the violence a calculated political message?
The timing was I think that the timing was a message in some way because as they said, when Fidan actually arrived in the mosques, some of the factions had some strikes or carried out some strikes in places in Aleppo, and it was a message actually, as I said, it was a message to both sides that both sides are ready to or are ready for any war, either the factions that are supported by Turkey or the factions that Turkey is targeting in Syria, and so both sides have shown readiness for any scenario, especially that we didn't really know what was the purpose of this visit and what they have reached or agreed upon. And so the timing was a bit suspicious, and I think that it was a message when it happening with the Turkish minister's visit to the mosques.
There are reports that an extension of the December 31st deadline is being discussed to save face. From an analytical perspective, would an extension provide a cooling off period or simply kick the can down the road towards a larger confrontation?
Actually, no one wants to stall the agreement or have the war continue, except for some of the countries and some officials in Syria, but they are actually less in number. The majority wants peace in Syria, and the Syrian government and the SDF both want to reach an agreement, but there is some kind of hate speech that people who will benefit from the war have been saying. But I think that the timeline here is not final. Actually, it can be. It's flexible. We can. Move it to next year, and so things are just happening and taking their time, and it is no doubt that fast peace is actually very important to all sides, but we need to make sure that there are no premature moves, or we need to make sure that all the moves are calculated, and so everyone here, all the sides need some time to get things in order and to fulfill the agreement, and especially when it comes to the factions, so that there is no division. And so, as I said, they need to take their time to have things in order. Yes, actually having this done quickly is very important, but it is not mandatory or necessary here. We can postpone the deadline long as there is a ceasefire and cooperation is happening between the two sides to facilitate the Syrians coming from abroad, and to make sure that the Syrian people are protected, and there is a continued response to all the peace initiatives and truce initiatives as well.
Sir, what mechanisms are needed to ensure accountability and prevent a return to violence?
We need some kind of international or foreign guarantee. The U.S. needs to have a role in this, and then also the Arab countries need to have some role here, some positive role actually, because the interventions have been negative so far from Turkey, from Israel, and we've also seen Iran and Russia get engaged, or get involved, but they are also negative, and so Syria needs support, and they need to have this from the countries that they think of as friends. And so I think that the role that Egypt has been playing is very important actually. Cairo has had or has been a key player when it comes to ensuring a peace in Syria. We have seen them in what we've seen Egypt in 2017 and 2018 having a huge role when it comes to the truce that was established then. And yes, all the Syrians actually believe in Cairo, and they know that Cairo is what will be getting them to positive outcomes. And here, when the foreign Egyptian, they called for all the parties to listen to this statement. And I think also Saudi Arabia will have a very important role, but so far the USA has been um, putting support for both sides, or have been supporting both sides actually. And they have been encouraging them to keep up the agreement to get or to achieve their agenda.
Yes. Do you expect this calm to hold, or is going to be further escalation?
Yeah, an escalation is likely. We cannot eliminate it. Escalation can happen at any moment, just like what happened before. And but actually, so far, there has been some kind of self-discipline, and everything that has happened over 2025, we've seen tons of conflict or confrontations, but they only lasted for a few hours and then stopped, and things would go back to normal. And so yeah, some parties here will keep trying to have this agreement fail and to reignite the war. But the leaders from both sides will also keep putting effort to not go back to war, to implement the agreement as well.
What would a lasting solution
these-
between Damascus and the SDF require? Sir, if you can hear me, I was asking you, what would a lasting solution between Damascus and the SDF require?
One thing actually, and it is willingness. If both sides want to reach peace, and they have actually said this, they want to get to peace, and the 10th of March agreement has proven that they can reach peace. And so yeah, we know that there are some people from both sides that want this agreement to just fail and not continue. But as I said, as long as the majority of the sides have willingness, and then also we have positive mediation and foreign involvement, positive involvement, of course. So yes, we can stop this and reach peace and end the war for good, and maybe the efforts for integration will be successful as well.
Looking ahead, what indicators would suggest that Syria is moving closer to a just and inclusive political settlement?
If if we look at millions of people that of Syrians that have left Syria, so far in 2025, around 1 million have gone back to their homes, and then also the internally displaced people have gone back to their homes and their jobs. And so this is a huge indicator that the transitional phase is going very well and is going positively, and that the Syrian people trust that they can rebuild their country, and they want to go back to how it was before war. And the transitional government has been putting in so much effort with the help of the mediators, of course, and the regional supporters to reach peace in Syria, because stopping the war, disarming the factions, stopping any kind of terrorism, and then also making sure that the transitional phase is successful, holding those responsible accountable. All of these things here are the indicators that we need to know that healing is in progress and is likely. and it's possible as well, and that Syria can stop the war once and for all and go to peace. And if 2020 six starts by having more people return to their homes, like what happened in 2025, then yes, this will be also such a positive indicator that the transitional phase is working and going very well, actually. And so, yes, this is.
Yes. Well, that was Mr. Abdulrahman Raboua, journalist and writer. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. As cautious calm returns to Aleppo, President Donald Trump is making headlines with his new Trump-class battleships.
Donald Trump is his name. He's there to stay.
As unlikely, impossible is now reality.
We will make America powerful. We will win, win, win. And we will make America great again. Let's do it, we will very quickly make America great again.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced recently plans for a new Trump-class battleship as the centerpiece of what he calls a new Golden Fleet. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump said that the ships would be the largest, fastest, and 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built, equipped with advanced missiles, nuclear weapons, and lasers. The program would begin with 2 vessels, the first named the USS Defiant, and could expand to as many as 20 to 25 ships. Trump said that construction would begin almost immediately and take about 2.5 years. The newspaper reports that Trump described the Golden Fleet, a maritime counterpart to his proposed Golden Dome missile defense system, and said that he would be personally involved in ship design, citing his focus on aesthetics. The announcement follows last week's Navy decision to commission a new class of frigates and continues Trump's long-running push to overhaul what he has criticized as outdated and unattractive warships. For more analysis, we're joined from Washington by Mr. Abbas Dahouk, Senior Military Advisor to the U.S. State Department. Welcome, Mr. Abbas, to Q News. Let me start by asking you now, from a military standpoint, is there a need today for a new class of battleships?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show.
Always a pleasure.
I mean, there is always a need to modernize your capabilities and capacities. In this case, for the Navy, they need to look at not only today's battlefield, you have to look at the future. And if you, I mean, as the Trump, he's a commander-in-chief and as Secretary of the Navy, it seems they see a need for it, for such large ship. In general, if you look at any large ships, basically it's a high value target for the enemy, and it's also a high risk. But I think you might look at it from a different dimension, that the current administration is showing commitment to the world that they need to have a maritime superiority. And they need to have a more very sophisticated ships, not only better what they have on hand, also better than any ship around the world.
Mm-hmm. And how would a Trump-class battleship differ operationally from existing destroyers and cruisers?
I mean, it seems as they just looking at the description of it, the ship would bring new capabilities to blue water, to the high seas, new capabilities in terms of cruise missiles, nuclear capable cruise missiles, which is at this point you don't have them on the ships, you do have them from submarines. And also they talked about all the laser high power laser technology and some rail guns. Those are guns that are powered by electromagnetic force versus regular gunpowder guns. So there is a vision for it, but again, U.S. Navy has superiority already, especially in terms of submarines, which unmatched around the world. The missile systems perhaps give you more further reach from the ship all the way inside land territories. This ship might bring in more reach, but it does not replace the aircraft carriers. Those are floating airfields around the world.
President Donald Trump said that these ships will be 100 times more powerful than any before. How realistic is this claim?
I mean, it depends on what's on the ship. I don't know if you can quantify it 100 times or 50 times. By the mere fact, perhaps he's introducing the nuclear cruise missiles to it. Yeah, it becomes more lethal. The other perhaps lethality could come from the number of missiles they carry. The vertical launch missiles. Some ships has maybe they can carry 300, 400. The ships might carry much more and more powerful missiles, like I said, maybe the nuclear missiles or the more hypersonic missiles. So obviously this is a arbitrary number, 100, but it has to be more powerful than the ships in the current inventory. Otherwise, would not be a new capability to the Navy.
So is a 2.5-year build timeline realistic for ships of this size?
I mean, looking at the track record of shipbuilding, doesn't seem as realistic. I mean, even if you are able to build a ship, remember the ship is it's irrelevant or without its network and without its weapon systems. So they have to look at all these weapon systems. Are they also? I mean, for example, this new ship will have rail guns, and the rail gun is a system that the Navy was working on it for decades and have abandoned this technology because it did not really work well.
Yes.
So that's anything. They might be able to build the ship, but I'm not sure if they can build the weapon systems, the technology that comes with it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the technologies, what new technologies would actually differentiate these ships from current battleships or destroyers?
I mean, based on also their what they put out there. I mean, we mentioned the
laser?
nuclear, high power laser systems than the one we have, and also the nuclear cruise missiles, the nuclear capable cruise missiles, and also it's heavier and made out of steel versus perhaps other material, and it's more has. It's much more survivable than the current ships in the inventory.
Okay. Are battleships still relevant in modern naval warfare dominated by submarines, missiles, and drones?
I think the battleship was a concept post World War II. It's a ship that bring more firepower to the world, and which was abandoned later on and replaced with aircraft carriers. I mean, and currently the United States have 11 aircraft carriers, and China has only 3. And those aircraft carriers, like I mentioned earlier, those are floating airfields. Gives the U.S. capability to fly aircrafts anywhere in the world, and sometimes without violating any airspace. The aircraft carrier can come near China and start or Russia, and fly aircrafts across land space. So it's a capability still unmatched. And this new battlefield is not designed to replace the aircraft carriers, perhaps to be a command and control ship. And then, like you said, yes, that's a good way to put it, to complement the current inventory.
Okay, so what questions should Congress and the Pentagon be asking before moving forward?
I think the Pentagon is obviously on board with it, with at least the Secretary of War and also the Secretary of the Navy. They're part of it. They want to see the system built. Congress looked at it from budget issues to see how much this would cost. But the other thing also, the Congress might like something like this because shipbuilding provides jobs for states, and this ship, according also to their statements, will have about 1,000 different suppliers from around the United States. So maybe most of the states will have some piece to build this ship, and by saying this, the congressmen or the senators of these states might vote for it, might be in favor of it, because it will provide jobs for their own state and own region.
In your own point of view, sir, does this proposal strengthen U.S. naval power?
I think it might provide some new capability and capacity, but it's at what cost? I mean, the navies already have a power projection around the world, and they do have the capability to maintain the line of communications around the world against conventional threat, big threat like China or Russia. Well, the Navy needs to capability not as big as a battleship. They need to be able to confront those threats, the unconventional threats like comes from from the Houthis or piracy or those non-state actors that they don't require a battleship to fight them. They need a different capability, like perhaps like the new Scorpion Strike Task Force the United States built with drones and not as sophisticated systems like hypersonic missiles or nuclear capable missiles. So they need a different technology to counter the low threat around the world.
Between the Golden Fleet, the Golden Dome, and the Golden Age, how central is this unified branding to the administration's broader vision of national security?
I think it seems like more branding at this point. This is something this administration likes to do. Again, it's more of, as I see it, it's more of a statement that this administration is committed to peace through strength, and this is the naval element of the strength to bring peace. And the Golden Dome also talks about not only protecting the world and the allies. The Golden Dome is to protect the United States, which is America First statement. So this is more of a branding right now to show the new approach to the world order from Trump perspective.
Massive ships are traditionally slower targets. How does the Golden Fleet plan to achieve the record-breaking speeds that President Donald Trump mentioned while carrying such heavy weaponry?
Well, it's yet to be seen. I think the battlefield or the nature of the warfare and the nature of the threat is ever evolving. I mean, this ship, they're said they're going to build it in 2 years. I'm sure it will take longer than that, and everything is evolving. We'll just have to wait and see. Currently, the aircraft carrier is more relevant on the battlefield. The submarines are more relevant on the battlefield, and also the drones that provide intelligence, surveillance, and also provide strikes. Those are three very more relevant at this point than introducing a battleship.
Well, that was Mr. Abbas Dahouk, a senior military advisor to the U.S. State Department, joining us from Washington. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's episode of In Focus. My name is Hilal Hamalawi. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more stories, updates, and of course, here on Qnews.